Hi. Grid-scale storage batteries increase carbon emissions in Alberta. We're going to analyze this and find out why. Hi. We're going to look at a familiar example with solar power and batteries and generators, and we're going to see if this increases or decreases our carbon emissions. So first, let's look at something that should be familiar to us. Maybe we'd like to go camping out in the West Country. I'm in Calgary, but the West Country is back over there. And a lot of people have an RV, and they don't like to consume power with a generator, so they have a solar panel. So we've got a solar panel here, and it's connected to a battery. It does something useful, keeps our fridge running. And if the battery runs out, we can just fire up a gas generator. So how does this work? Well, during the day, the sun shines and creates a lot of power from the solar panel. I'm assuming it's reasonably good sized. And it makes surplus power, because it makes more power than our little load here consumes. We're probably out doing something. So the surplus power goes to the battery and stores any surplus power. Okay, so then we come home, we wash dishes, make dinner, chat, play cards, do stuff like that. And we consume power and we draw down the battery. Now eventually the battery runs dry, and that's not a big deal. It runs dry, we go outside, we fire up the gas generator, and we use it just enough to keep the lights on until we're ready to go to bed and start the day again. Okay, so that is a very effective use of solar and a battery, and it minimizes our consumption of fuel going to a generator. Does this apply to grid scale power for the province? This is what we have to look at. We have to think about that. Now, to think about that, we have to look at the little diagram that I concocted to describe the different types of electrical power. And I categorize these with three different types. There's a base supply, something that just makes a constant source, like a big nuclear power plant. We don't have one. That's okay. We've got the opportunistic supplies. Solar. When the sun shines, it makes power. Here's our opportunistic supply. And then there's the on-call, the thing that we use as a backup. And in our case here, it's a gas-fired generator. And in Alberta, we've got these things. Our opportunistic or renewable power makes up, I just checked the numbers, it's about 30% of our total power supply in the province. And if we exclude the cogeneration or combined heat and power that we have at many industrial sites, it actually makes up closer to 40% of our total power demands. Still not 100, it makes up about 40%. Okay, but still, 40% is not everything. We still need on-call power and whatever we have for a base load, and that's all gas-fired, to maintain supply to meet our demand. Okay, so this is where we see a big difference here compared to our little camping setup. In the camping setup, we had a huge excess of power available, a large surplus, and we store that. But in our case, our supply of renewable power is at best half of what we consume right now. So in which case, why would we want to store it? Because right now, if we don't store it, every one of the electrons produced by an opportunistic supply, like solar or wind, is immediately used by the grid, by the consumers. So why are we storing? And what is the impact of storing? Well, that, unfortunately, is called show me the money. Okay. So in Alberta, when do we charge batteries for grid storage? We actually charge them at night when power supplies are cheapest. Typically about between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Power prices are like 3 to 5 cents a kilowatt hour, and that's when batteries are charged. Got nothing to do with the sun being out. It has everything to do with the lowest price. And when do they get discharged? Well, peak demand. So 5 o'clock, dinner time, people are making dinner and doing stuff. And if there's a power shortage, like a huge rush on demand, or maybe one of our on-call supplies are down, or maybe a gas turbine is down, power prices just skyrocket. And they might be selling power for 50 cents to $1 a kilowatt hour. And a sane price is somewhere around 10 to 15 cents. Okay, so now this is all about making money. Buy low, and for a battery, it's all about buy low and charge the battery, discharge it and sell it for high. It's all about making money. What is the impact on the environment? Well, the battery consumes power from the grid. Okay, so the generator that produces the power for that grid as a result of this increase in demand is a gas-fired generator. And it's not a good one. It's going to be the worst one out there. This is a marginal increase in demand, so it will be the least efficient generator we've got. Probably a simple cycle gas turbine. They're about 30% efficient. Okay. So let's suppose our battery sucks up 100 megawatt hours. It only gives back 85 because they're only 85% efficient. So in that case, what happened to the extra 15 and who made that up? Well, it turns out our on-call supply, our worst generator out there, a simple cycle gas turbine, produced an extra 15 megawatt hours that really it didn't have to, but it was only necessary to produce because a battery wasted power. So now the battery storage is effectively 15% worse for emissions than our currently worst power supply out there, a simple cycle gas turbine. Okay, so to summarize, the situation in Alberta today is that grid scale power storage with a battery is based on selling a scarce resource for a very high price. It's not about reducing carbon emissions. It will be 15% worse than our worst producer out there. Now, when we have enough renewable power, enough solar panels or wind turbines to completely meet all of our electrical demands and provide a surplus, then we should be using grid scale storage batteries to store that surplus and use it later. Take care.